like all the stakeholders of the community that we get on the show, the team that puts the show together, the Startup Central team, thrives on constructive criticism. So keep writing into us so that we can take our show to the next level. Our email address right on top, suc@etnow.tv. It's 1st of December 2022, and as promised, the Reserve Bank of India is ready with a pilot project for the digital rupee. This is going to be for peer-to-peer. It'll be peer-to-merchants as well. What does all of this mean? What is a digital rupee? How will it change your life? Will it change your life? What is the utilities? Here's a special report by my colleague, Vinny.
What are the denominations for digital rupee?
So the pilot would cover some of the select locations coming in a closed user group, and this comprises of participating customers and merchants. The e-rupee would be in the form of digital tokens that represent legal tenders. Now also do not forget, it would be issued in the same denomination of the paper currency and the coins are currently issued in. It would also be distributed through the intermediaries that are banks.
Will I get an e-wallet for digital rupee?
So now the user will be able to transact e-rupee through the digital wallets offered by participating banks as well as and sorted on mobile phones as well as on devices as well. So the transaction now that will take place will be both person to person or person to merchant as well, and the payments to merchants will also be made even through QR codes that will be displayed on the merchants' locations.
Why should I use digital rupee?
So in terms of features, even the e-rupee will actually offer the similar features that are there in physical cash, that is trust, safety as well as settlement finality as well. And also, as in the case of cash that we see coming in, it will not earn any interest and can be converted to other forms of money like either deposits with banks as well.
Which banks are offering e-rupee?
So in terms of banks, there are 8 banks that have actually been identified for phase-wise participation in this pilot. The first phase will begin with 4 banks. That is going to be State Bank of India, ICICI Bank, Yes Bank and IDFC First Bank. And this is in 4 cities across the countries. The 4 more banks that are there is Bank of Baroda, Union Bank, HDFC Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank that will join the pilot subsequently.
So let's talk more about the digital rupee. Joining us now is one of the experts that you see very often right here on ET Now. We go to him for all things related to fintech, Naveen Surya. Naveen, thank you so much. I know it's a really busy day for you. It's 1st of December, the pilot launch of the digital rupee. I'm going to start with the basics. And we've just brought our viewers, an introduction to what a digital rupee is. I'm hoping you can show it to us. It's one of the reasons we got you here as well. But having said that, a lot of people are confused. So you have a digital rupee, which is being launched first in partnership with 4 banks. The Reserve Bank of India says these will be provided as digital wallets that all of us can have, and we can all use QR codes as well. So many people are asking, what is this? We need another app. And how is this different from UPI?
Yeah, so let me first address the basics, Nayantara. So let's start with how does this rupee looks like, right? So again, yes, you're right. It's one more app for the time being. Eventually, it will be part of banks and other regulated entities app. So this is how a digital rupee would look like. This is a digital version of the same physical currency in the same denomination that you will get. This is signed by our Governor Sri Saktikant Das, as you can see it here on the screen. And as I said, if you're part of this pilot from those 4 banks and are customers of those, you would get, some of you would probably request or get a link to download an app. As I said, because it's a pilot phase, a separate app for now, which will give you 4 broad options currently. One, to transfer your bank money into this e-rupee conversion. So you could actually request whatever money that you want to bring. You would also be able to, having received this money, send it to any other person. Let's say I want to send money to Nayantara, if she's part of this pilot. I could do that using a send button. I could also request receiving of this money from, let's say, those people who are in the pilot, they could also send me. I could also send money to any merchant using a QR code. And if I have excess money which I'm not using, and if I want to earn interest on that money, since here there's no interest on the rupee, I could ask for a redemption back into the bank account and convert this e-rupee back into my bank money. So those are currently broad 4 options that are available in this pilot for you to try with. The broad flows are very simple. I think you will go to the app for loading money. You will select certain money. You will the value of the money that you want to transfer. You will receive certain denomination of the notes that you want, 100, 200, 500. So again, you will receive those in digital form in your app. Then again, you could simply, once the reload is done, you will get the confirmation that this many notes have come into your account. You could transfer it to any other person. So again, when you do that, you'll receive the confirmation like any other app. Similarly, if you want to pay to a merchant on some of these 4 cities location, there is a special QR code on certain locations where you would actually use those QR code and transfer this e-rupee to them, and the real-time transaction will get complete, which means they will not need to wait for settlement. This e-rupee is usable by those merchants immediately for onward use. Same way, if, like I said, if you have excess money, you could ask for a redemption and it just comes back to your bank account. So these are very basic, broad. You ask about why do we need this? We already have UPI. So we have to understand that UPI is a tool to use your money, whether lying in a bank, whether your credit card or this e-currency. So UPI is complementary, not competing with this. In fact, e-rupee would be one of the tools which again you would be able to use over a period of time on UPI for transferring the money or paying to the merchants.
So do you see, if somebody already has UPI, and I take it, it's a tool. I take it. It's a tool to use money, which is lying in your bank accounts, and to use it electronically. But do you actually see the digital rupee for the existing UPI users maybe being used more for peer-to merchants? Because the digital rupee can also carry smart contracts. A lot has been said on how it can actually be used for, let's say, a truck needs to leave a warehouse. It'll only do it once a transaction is made. You don't have to wait for cumbersome wire transfers, because let's not forget, UPI is also used for smaller amounts.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right that this would be one of the probably a added use case and probably be a lot more easy for a lot smaller merchants. And again, as I said, that idea is at some stage, while the current pilot does not cover the offline merchants and offline transaction. But imagine if you have a merchant who does not have a bank account, yet he has a e-rupee app and he wants to receive this money, which is instantly usable. He will be able to use e-rupee app and receive that money instantly with UPI app or any other app that he chooses to. So if you look at the way you use your physical currency in physical world, you will be able to use this not only just in a physical world, but also entire digital world where the physical rupee cannot be used. And as I said, the way the rupee transaction does not need payment and settlement, it is payment plus settlement. The finality is right there. Same way all transactions done digitally with e-rupee are settled instantly. There is no backend. To give you again expanded example, in UPI, while the person sending and receiving has received the money, but the banks behind, they still need to run a settlement between them, which is a cumbersome process at the back end. In these transactions, none of that is required.
Absolutely. And if you could actually build on this, I know iSpert, etc., had even written a blog on this, on how it can help in reducing litigation, in reducing contractual fights too.
Yeah. So obviously the disputes are less when transaction is, so when you deal with the physical rupee, right, either transaction is done or not done. There's no post-transaction issues other than the service-related issues, not related to payment. Same way, here either the transaction is done successfully or not. And so there's the chances of, let's say, disputes arising is extremely minuscule. So obviously this is a lot more useful. And as I said, because this is something which really competes with physical currency. Everything else is way inferior to the, let's say, currency. Currency is the most powerful. That's why it keeps growing in the economy. Everything else is money, which is inferior to the currency. But this one becomes more powerful than even currency itself because this can also be used digitally, not just physically.
Do you see the digital rupee being used primarily for and by businesses and not maybe, let's say, like a Naveen to Nantara?
Well, to be honest, I'm looking forward to it. I will surely be using it because there are a lot of micro transactions which I explained to you, where today you have to necessarily use money because the other side does not understand the process of being able to receive it in their account and then going and withdrawing it.
Businesses, large corporations. And what about overseas transfers, remittances?
Yeah. So I think these are all different use cases. So one of the current one is all scope is domestic, but at some stage, this will also be used for remittances in a global market. So there's already a pilot which is working right between two countries to first integrate fast payments, where you could receive remittances fast. The next one could be that how do you receive it in a digital rupee? And as I said, there is a separate work that's happening on a wholesale CBDC, which will have some aspects of interbank settlement, CBDC through CBDC, which is also an integral place. So it will be an integration for a foreign exchange transaction between a wholesale CBDC and a retail CBDC.
How long do you think, with what is being launched today, will the overseas angle be taken care of? Because at the end of the day, businesses do businesses with others in other countries, vendors are in other countries. You also have a situation where, maybe NRIs want to send money back to their homes. Parents may want to send for their college kids. It can really help in college tuition fee as well. Or if NRIs want to pay for their elderly parents' healthcare spends as well. How fast can all of this be rolled out?
No, so you are absolutely right, Nayantara, that eventually wherever you use money or a physical currency, this will be the tool or this will be the medium to use. However, the current pilot scope, because this is also a completely new technology and it includes a lot of security related aspects. So this is first phase, as I said in the app, currently you could do a basic domestic transaction for sending money from one person to another person, but within the same country. And again, within those limited banks currently and the limited cities, could also send money to any businesses, small, big, whoever are participating in the pilot. And like I said, these two are the base use cases that are getting done. But eventually, you're absolutely right. Any use cases where money is used or physical currency is used, both will come and get integrated into this product of a e-rupee at some stage. Now, timelines obviously will take some time. RBI will define it. But I could tell you from my perspective that considering that RBI started seriously this project only from a last year and a half, the pace at which they have rolled out these two back-to-back tools of both wholesale and a retail, I won't be surprised that by end of next year, you have most of these use cases live. But again, that's purely my, let's say, guesstimate.
The point that you made right on front, which is the biggest advantage of the digital rupee and why if it's going to be a game changer, the reason it can be a game changer is there's not just payment, it's payment and settlement, the stuff that's done at the back end too. And now having said that, the question I'd like to ask you is that right now it's being done in partnership with 4 banks for retail. Isn't the first step would have to be to get all the banks in the system? Because at the end of the day, whether you have a 1 rupee note or 500 rupee note or a 2000 rupee note, it can be used anywhere and there's a legal tender in this country, right, as in this sovereign. We need that to first be replicated electronically, digitally.
Yeah. So I think as you understand that the currency distribution also happens through physical banks and there are processes laid down for all the banks. And again, different banks play different role. A digital process actually in Nayantara is a lot easier. But as I said, the current focus is testing the base functionality, testing the base use cases, seeing the overall experience. And since the DLT blockchain tools of some of those technologies are completely new, to also see stability and let's say various aspects of the technical side of those. But you're absolutely right. I think eventually all banks, and not just banks, probably all regulated entities of RBI will be part of this. And eventually you will see all of them, let's say, making this available to their customers.
Yeah, and that's going to be quite interesting, right? Because all of this will also have to be calculated for all the, cash reserve ratios and all the statutory limits that are in place for how much, needs to be in the reserve by a bank. But, Ravi, we wanted to get you here to also break it down for our viewers. And I'm going back to my first question. And you said UPI is a tool to use money. So tell me something and break it down for our viewers. When will they use UPI and when will they use a digital rupee?
Oh, they can use UPI to spend digital money, the way they spend money lying in a bank account. So it's their choice. So they could use either UPI or they could use bank app, or they could use, probably depending on when the offline payment solutions are launched, just the app given either by a EPI or let's say any other authorized entity. So again, as I said, it will be the end customer, but like again, I'm repeating that it is not competing. It is like, let's say the way you go and use ATM to take money out, physical money out from your bank account, right? You use ATM. Same way when you transfer your money to either a merchant or a customer, you use UPI. Same way when you want to take money in a digital form, you will use e-rupee. But again, you could use any tool in between, which could be UPI or any other apps going forward. One more big difference I just wanted to highlight on our ratios, the CRR, etc. But with whatever knowledge I have, I don't think that would be of a concerning here, because this money is in a liability of a RBI. This is like 1:1. This is not the bank money. So this is fully 100% secured, available, and this is just the converted. So to give you an example, when you deposit your money in a bank account, banks can lend part of that money, and again, to cover the risk, they have to put some money with the central bank. But this is like to like. 100 rupee given to Reserve Bank is 100 rupee into the bank account, and when you give 100 rupee, this comes to you. So there's no leverage on this money available to anyone. So the risks are not there. Therefore, I don't think they will need to do any of those specific ratios. But again, RBI would, I'm sure, at some stage clarify this.
Okay, so lots of things that we have to figure out, and like Naveen made such a pertinent point, we were going to need all the banks, all the financial institutions regulated by the RBI, including the NBFCs, to be a part of this. Naveen, you know, the pilot project has been launched. Have you used it? Has it been seamless? Is it as frictionless as we've all gotten used to?
Well, I think it's a pilot, and it's called pilot for a reason. Yes, of course, I'm in a process with my bank, Yes Bank, to get my wallet activated. And I started just about a couple of hours back, and I think I'm just about to receive my e-money or e-rupee very soon, or maybe right after I close this call and start spending it. So maybe next call I can tell you my experience and the step-by-step.
And tell me something, to get the wallet, what are the processes required? That's something else our viewers will want to know. If you've done full KYC already with your bank, is that enough to download the app and start going? Is there more KYC that will be required? Any forms? You know, there's also, let's not forget, while we still await for the IT laws to be overhauled, while we still await the new cybersecurity law, while we still await the personal data bill and all of that, the safety angle. If I'm going to expose my entire life savings, entire money that I have in a bank account to a digital front, I don't have the laws that will give me the backing and you know, what I would want. Isn't that going to come in the way of success?
Not really, to be honest, because again, as I said, that's already happening with various apps and including with the bank mobile apps. This is just one more, probably a lot more secure to use your money. So I don't see that as a challenge. And your earlier question about the process, I think, yes, for the current pilot, you do need a bank account in one of those banks. That bank currently has a clear identified list of the users whom they will select. So you have to be part of that list. And you could actually link your bank account to that, this wallet into that bank account. And you don't need to do additional KYC as long as your base account is fully KYC'd and you're a customer of that bank. So from that perspective, the current process is seamless. Like I said, going forward, this is like a currency. There are some additional factors that I'm sure RBI is working on. There are a lot of discussions that you will see going forward. This is more like a use flow and a technical, let's say technical pilot. But one of the key things in currency is anonymity, right? We all know that up to transaction up to 20,000 rupees, most places you could do in physical currency and you don't need any KYC or any data. And in some cases, even up to 200K. So it's going to be an interesting play that how does banks and RBI, despite being involved in distribution of this retail CBDC, how do they still ensure, let's say, anonymity for end user, wherein I don't need to do, let's say, a KYC for a small value transaction. So to give an example, if I'm just a vegetable vendor and I want to accept a digital rupee, maybe daily 1,000 rupee or a 500 rupee, can I start doing it right away? And it's still feasible with me. And as long as I have some base technology check and base OTP and identity check indirectly done, but don't need to carry it. That's more from a security aspect, like you said, than the actual usage perspective. So those are the additional part which again will need to get discussed, stressed out. And it's not just RBI view, probably it will be the whole country, including probably Home Ministry's view in this, since PMLA, KYC comes under them as well.
Right, we're in uncharted territories, and let's also, it's also a proud moment, Naveen. I'll make this a final question because India is taking quite a leap forward in this, and it certainly has a first mover advantage compared to many other developed markets too.
Absolutely, I'm absolutely proud, and in fact, I've been trying to track this kind of a development over the last 10 plus years when the name itself wasn't done, CBDC. And we used to call, when I was running my early payments company, as a digital rupee or a digital currency. So, I mean, it's a very heartening to see this coming in. And I have a very, let's say, firm belief that the way we launched UPI and became the leaders in fast payment, I think CBDC, both wholesale and retail, we absolutely have that opportunity to become the largest, and the kind of volumes and the innovation that we can drive with this. This is our another opportunity to create probably even 100x more success than what we've done with UPI, which is, again, as I said, it's the tool. This currency, the physical currency usage in a country is so high. This could be the real answer, actually, with so much of innovation that can be built by fintechs and a banking ecosystem around it. So I'm absolutely looking forward to it. And like I said, absolutely proud moment for citizen of this country, as well as in part of this industry, and as a small user in this whole pipeline.
Naveen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you so much for being with us today and for explaining all of it to our viewers today.